The Diablo team had a live stream yesterday, or last night rather. They called it a first Campfire chat, for whatever reason. And yeah, and all the content creators on YouTube and on Twitch, they were watching it. I caught the very tail end of the stream. I didn't watch the full thing, and I'm not going to, because it was like over 1.5 hours. Ain't nobody got time for that. But I will listen to good guy Mr. Llama SC, his thoughts on the last night's live stream, and see what the fuck is up.
What's up, YouTube? Mr. Llama SC here, and we just listened to the Diablo 4 developer live chat. I want to make sure I call it the right thing. Live chat with developers. It was not a like scripted, planned one so much as them just sitting down around the campfire and having a chat. Fireside chat, I think that's what they called it. They wanted to discuss and address some of the issues and pieces that they saw, and let's dive into it. So let's start at the beginning. There was about 10-15 minutes of nothing really being discussed, talking about cookies, talking about which you know, the cookie talk was fun, whatever, talking about like
As usual, showing each other's babies pictures,
the difference between a patch and a hotfix.
whatever else boomers do in those situations. I don't small talk.
I think they were really trying to set expectations for people around when they say, we're going to hotfix this. And people are like, why don't you change this too? And it's like, well, that would go.
So, the biggest issues, in my opinion, right now with the game are, well, there's a lot, actually. We can go through it later, maybe. But what I was looking forward for them to kind of talk about during that live stream yesterday was, and again, I don't know, I haven't seen this video from Llama yet, from Mr. Llama, so I don't know what they have talked about in yesterday's live stream, but what I personally wanted them to address was the gem tabs, the fucking horse functionality. And I know this might not be the priority right now, but the horse fucking sucks. What else? Level scaling is horrible in the game. You just don't feel like you kind of getting as powerful as you should have while leveling, because everything scales with you, right? So you're not really gaining that power creep, really, unless you kind of get. Because right now I'm getting on level 60 on my character, and I'm just starting to open up. I think yesterday I played off stream and I got my first legendary Paragon point, and that gave me like a 20% damage right away, and you feel that a little bit once you get those kind of things. But other than that, and that's like your immediate gratification. But once you kind of start leveling more and more and more, and everything in between, unless you get those massive upgrades, everything in between, you don't feel the difference at all, almost. And it's just like, you know, everything scales with you. You still doing the same damage you were doing maybe 2 or 3 levels ago, and nothing is actually, and you haven't upgraded your weapons in a while. I personally, I got lucky and I got 2 really good weapons, and then I fully upgraded them at the blacksmith, and now everything that drops is not even, and because I'm still in World Tier 3, everything that's dropping in World Tier 3 is sacred level, right? So it's all going to be fairly the same sort of DPS level, and everything that drops after I got my weapons can't even touch them. Everything drops maybe minus 150 to 250 DPS compared to what I have. So since I maybe was level 53, 54, and now I'm almost 60, I haven't found like a weapon upgrade, for example. And weapon upgrades are your kind of major power boosts in the game. So, which is why I want to get to World Tier 4 as fast as possible, so that we can start farming ancestral type gear, because that's like several hundreds of DPS above sacred, and that will give us more DPS. And that's, once I get those kind of items, I will start feeling more powerful. But for now, the leveling experience has been lackluster, to say the least, because it's fucking like it's all the same. Like, everything levels up with you, but your power doesn't really raise that much unless, again, as I said, you get to those small kind of rare points where the points that kind of give you those big boosts, like, for example, that legendary aspect. I'll show you later in the game, the legendary aspect that gave me 20% bonus damage to poison. So, gem tabs, horse, level scaling in the game. I think, again, I'm not in the end game myself, but I consume a lot of Diablo 4 content, and I see a lot of content creators that have been in the end game since the fucking early access, and been level hundreds for almost 2 weeks now, and no one has found the top tier uniques yet. And that's a huge problem for me, because I kind of showed you guys on a previous stream, I think, or one of the previous streams, the kind of chase unique that I want to strive towards, which will add a lot of interesting mechanics to my current build, which is the Andariel's Visage. And Andariel's Visage, Grandfather, Harlequin Crest, none of these items have been found yet. Meaning, they're probably as rare as a fucking Mirror of Kalandra in PoE, which is ridiculous. Not even a Headhunter type rarity. It's fucking Mirror of Kalandra type rarity. For example, there are players that have spent 10 to 15,000 hours in PoE and have never dropped Mirror of Kalandra. I have over 2,500 hours in PoE, and I haven't even dropped a Headhunter ever, or Mageblood, let alone Mirror of Kalandra. So if these uniques in Diablo 4 have the similar kind of rarity aspects to those items from PoE, it's a horrible design decision, and going to be ridiculous time trying to target farm those, because you can't really target farm in this game unless it's Helltide events. They only really have 2 target farmable things right now, which is Helltide events, because you can in Helltide, the chests in Helltides are related to a specific gear slot, meaning like there's a chest that you can open that'll give you helmets, the chest that you can open that'll give you weapons or chest armor, and so on and so forth. Or they have these gambler vendors where you can buy shit with your obols, but that's such a random thing that you'll never probably, I don't know, it's probably 1 in a million or even more than that to get a unique out of that. but technically maybe it's possible. I don't even know if that vendor can, if you can get a unique out of that vendor. I know you can get legendaries, but that's a very, very low chance of success. So basically it's a random chance of getting any type of rarity of whatever you're buying. Like if you're buying a helmet, you have a chance of getting either a white helmet or a legendary, and anything in between. And obviously legendary weight is much, much lower than whatever else you can get from it. So you'll open like 100 and you'll get maybe 95 of them will be blue, 3 of them will be rare, and maybe 2 will be legendaries. So I don't know. But that's technically still a target farm, because you can pick and choose which item or which item for which slot you're buying from that vendor, and the Helltide events as well. The thing is, what I'm trying to say, that kind of shit works in PoE because there's a lot of different avenues that you can, and also the main thing in PoE is trade. Even if you can't farm, or if you haven't found whatever you're looking for, you can go on trade site and just buy it. And you can strive, and you can like you can earn currency, enough currency to buy those kind of items, because they're very expensive, but you can still get them if you farmed enough currency. In this game, there's nothing like that. There's no trade. People, it's not even dropping for people. So even if, like, you know, even if you could trade, they're not able to, because it's not in the game currently. Like, no one has that item. So those kind of like the main things, I think. What else do I have kind of slight issues with? Scaling, gem tabs are, and that fucking bug that's been there since, I think beta had that bug as well, where the fucking the Q skill or whatever right now is on my tab on the Q, my twisting blade skill moves my character instead. Like, it operates as both, as a skill and as a movement, as a right click on the mouse. And that's so annoying, because in certain situations I'm trying to hit a mob, and my character, the game wants to move my character instead of hitting the mob. And it's so annoying. So those kind of like the main things that are horrible in my experience right now. Yeah, so let's see what they actually talked about yesterday.
Go in a patch. Seemed like they were trying to clarify that. Regardless, we pushed past that stuff and we dove into a few ideas. And I'm going to admit, there were a couple pieces. It started out kind of strong, but then it really tanked off for me. So we'll start with the strong pieces and go from there. Number one, with Renown, they discussed that people in new seasons were having difficult understandings of what it was going to exactly be. And they said, okay, for Renown, you're going to... So you have your season and then your eternal realm, right? So you have like season 1, season 2, season 3, season 4.
Right.
And then the eternal is like non-ladder, right? Where all of your characters will go after. So if you've unlocked the map here and
so basically, after every season or before the new season comes out, your current progress or current characters, that whatever you created within that season frame, will be sent to the Eternal Realm, just like in PoE. Every end of the league, every time the new league starts, all your characters from previous league, they go into the standard league. You're not losing all that. Technically, all that progress is just everything moves to a standard kind of server. So next, in Diablo 4's case, next season, you'll have to start fresh, like from zero, from nothing. You won't have anything in the bank. You won't have any progress. The only thing for now that I think they've confirmed is once you finish the campaign one time, and it doesn't matter when, or how or with which character, like eternally you'll be able to on the next characters or in the seasons or for forever basically you'll be able to skip the campaign next time. You don't have to play it again. So that's what they confirmed. But what Llama is talking about here is the renown is so much fucking. It's a thing that it's a progress of the map of the different regions of the map, and you get points. You get skill points for renown. You get XP. You get gold, and you get Paragon points for it as well. So you have in each region you have 5 levels, I think, of renown that you have to complete to get the rewards. And it's a lot of grinding, a lot of work because it's a very MMO-esque system, which works in MMOs. But it works in MMOs because nothing's ever being wiped from your MMO characters or your MMO progress. Like for example in WoW, they just release a new expansion, but all your shit that you've done previously is there. You can just keep playing on your character through the new expansion. But here, and so you in WoW you have all your achievements. You also have your renown and blah blah blah, and the side quests and progress and shit like that. But here you have all that, but if you start a new season, all that supposedly will be wiped. And that's what's annoying, because you don't have a lot of time. And it turns out it's not as easy of a game as people have predicted, because there's a lot of grind after level 50, which I found out as well. There's a lot of grinding that goes into the game, and it's a lot of time consuming. So to get all your renown done in all the regions on this massive ass fucking map is gonna take you a long time. And average handies, even like myself, I as you see, I'm not fucking streaming every day. If I do stream, I stream a couple hours, maybe 4 hours to 5 hours max every day, because I don't have more time than that. I'm only able to now play the game properly on the weekend. And people like that, and there are people that are even more busy than me and have even less time to play the game. I don't think they'll be able to finish all the renown quests and get all the renown levels within one season, because a season will be like 1.5 to 3 months maybe. I've been playing it for 2 weeks now, and I think the biggest level out of 5 on each region, I think I got to level 3 for now. And the season 1 is going to be released in July, I believe. So there's not a lot of time left, and people that have been grinding before that and kind of going through all this fucking monotony, once the new season releases, all that shit will be wiped. And obviously, like, who wants to do all the... It's like a chore that you have to do every season. It's not fun. Like, PoE doesn't have that. All you have to do every season is beat the campaign, and that's it. Everything else is kind of open for you to do. Whatever you want to do. It's just available. You want to run maps, you run maps. Before, you had that thing with an atlas as well. You kind of have it now as well. If you want to, you should probably finish your 115 out of 115 atlas completion thing to really be able to farm the game effectively. But you don't have to do that. If you want, after campaign, if you want to go into Delve, you can go into Delve. If you want to do heists, you can do heists. If you just want a map, if you want to run low tier maps, you can run just low tier maps. You don't have to finish the whole atlas. And there's so many things that you can do. But here, and there's no sort of completion in PoE as well. Like, you don't, like, once you go into Delve, there's no like skill points or experience points or paragons, sort of whatever the fuck, or certain gems that are locked behind a certain level of delve that you have to achieve. No, you just play through Delve. You go as low as deep as you want to go, as long as you can handle, uh, and that's it. And you get out of it what you get out of it. But here you have to do this because technically there's a lot of there's like 5 regions right on the map, and each region would have on the 5th level of renown, each region gives you 4 paragon points. 4 times, so that's 20 paragon points that are locked behind that system. And 20 paragon points is a lot of fucking points. You can gain a lot of power out of 20 paragon points. And that's where the confusion and the where people are getting upset right now with that system is that, like, come on, man, like, don't let us fucking farm that shit over and over again every season. Just let us keep that progress. So this is what I guess they were talking about.
Explored the map here, and if you've gotten Lilith statues anywhere, then you will get the renown for that in each of the seasons. And I believe the stats from the Lilith statues as well. They will also show you the major city waypoints on the map, and the map will be explored, but they will be grayed out. This is my current understanding. I'll explain a little bit later why this is my current understanding. Right? So those stats, and that will continue through, but you will not get the Paragon points, the skill points, the max obols, any of that stuff will not carry through into the seasons. You will still have to earn the rest of the renown. So you'll get whatever the renown would be for exploring the map and maybe the statues. So maybe you start with 1,000 renown or something, but you have to earn all the rest of it to get the rest of those pieces. So you have to do side quests again, go collect the waypoints,
and that's fucking annoying.
Go do the strongholds again, clear dungeons again, whatever pieces, right? It should cover the first couple of rewards, and then you'll need to do all the rest. Again, we'll talk about that later. The next thing they talked about was Corpse Explosion being the Blighted CE being like a horrible mess where it just covers everything and you can't see anything on the ground. They talked about fixing that, and they talked about fixing like alerts a little bit better, because sometimes there's cases where you can't see that something was like fire enchanted and it's going to explode beneath you, and then you die and you couldn't see because there were massive monsters. So they said they're looking at the ordering of how that'll show on your screen. Maybe it'll just show at the...
I've died so many times to fucking being frozen so far. It's unbelievable because there's so many mobs that just jump you, and turns out one of them will be off screen, and those fucking goat shamans or whatever, if they're cold infused, they will just freeze you from off screen because they throw these fucking cold balls in your vicinity that kind of hit you and explode and have a chance to freeze you on hit. And then if you're already in the middle of a big pack, get frozen and you can't do anything, and if also you get unlucky and you get those fucking little glowy head fucking small little demons that explode, they kind of they're always in big groups, and once you're frozen they kind of and they do a lot of damage. Like one of them does a lot of damage to you, but if you're frozen, all of them kind of just jump on you, explode, and you're dead because you're frozen. You can't do anything because you didn't see that fucking shaman off screen that's throwing cold at you because you're too busy fighting these mobs, and all of a sudden, boom, you're frozen and you can't get away from these AoE explosions and you're just dead.
At the very top, it might not look amazing, but you'd at least see it. I don't know. But they discussed that. The third thing they discussed, and this is probably the biggest improvement they made, is teleporting to nightmare dungeons now when you have a nightmare sigil.
Thank
Instead of
you.
having to do the nightmare sigil, open your map, go to it.
Oh my
find your
god.
waypoint, teleport to that, run your horse all around,
Yes.
get there, and go.
This is how you have to do it right now.
They listened to our suggestion.
Thank you.
I wasn't the only person to suggest that.
God damn.
Please just let us teleport to the nightmare dungeon. And so they're going to have that.
That was super annoying as well.
Addition. They also said it won't immediately teleport you, but it'll be something like it will open a portal for you to go in and go there. So that's a big clap.
Nice.
That's a big win.
That's a W.
Then we started getting into not as great things and interesting things and kind of more confusing things. So they said they're looking at moving gems to the materials tab. They didn't want to like just create a gem bag, I guess, but they want to move gems to the materials bag, and then from there you'll just use your gems. They talked about gems being such an important resource that you like want to go pick up all the time, but they never mentioned actually giving gems a purpose, because again, remember, right now gems don't have a purpose. Gems, you socket them, and once you have your gems socketed, so I've got my like 5 perfect topaz, 2 emeralds, and 3 skulls or whatever, my royals or whatever, that's it. I don't need any more gems ever for the rest of the game. And they did talk about like giving them a gold value, giving them more crafting reason, something like that.
True.
So it's kind of confusing. Again, I'm like, I don't know what else to do with gems now, and they didn't seem to infer that there was going to be a further use. So that was kind of sad. Then they moved to crafting mats, and they said they want to make crafting materials uncapped. I'm not sure if this means they're also going to potentially uncap like red dust or anything. I'd kind of hope so, because again, it was kind of weird and annoying in PvP that I just ran into that cap. But they said for crafting mats, they're looking at uncapping those. So that was kind of the medium section. And then everything just kind of got... It just... The Campfire chat just turned into like non-answers after that and weird answers. So the next thing they talked about was resistances. And they recognized the problem that as you leveled up,
that's a big problem as well.
Resistances got less and less.
They're garbage.
The higher tiers you went to and all of this stuff, right? Like resistances just became less valuable overall. And they recognized the problem, but they weren't really sure how to fix it. And they said it's not something that will probably be fixed until like season 2, which is 4.5 months away.
What?
And I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm crazy. I understand that
that's insane.
They need to do and stuff like that. But 4.5 months before potentially
why
to resistances is kind of absurd to me. Like that feels like such an important thing to get fixed.
That's insane, but that might be to do with how the game is structured on the back end. Maybe. They probably have such a fucking complicated numerical system to work out their resistances and how they work, that it wouldn't be an easy solution from a technical point. Like from the coding point of the game, I feel like that's the only explanation I can give as to why it would take so long, because they would have to revise how the actual numerical system works for the resistances, and then they would probably have to revise the back end, the coding of the game, to be able to work all that new system into it. Because think about it, resistances, they affect everything in the game. Every single damage from every single mob, every single damage reduction according to every single resistance on you, on mobs, on other players in PvP, on bosses, on elites, all these different kind of segments that are in that system. Because it's not like a blanketed, usually in ARPGs, it's not like a blanketed system where, okay, you have 75% resistances, meaning that for every single fire attack from the mobs, from all the mobs, doesn't matter if it's a fucking white skeleton mob or an uber boss, you will have 75% damage reduction from fire. That's not how it works, because you have modifiers on mobs sometimes, because you have native modifiers that mobs have. Like, for example, some bosses would do an increased elemental damage that goes beyond, or like they have elemental penetration that goes through your elemental mitigation. You have all these modifiers on, like, for example, in PoE you have modifiers on the maps that lower your resistances or increase the elemental damage for all the mobs on the maps. I believe you have similar systems here right now with Nightmare Dungeons. So I think it's a technically huge undertaking, which is why it would take so long. Otherwise, there's no reason. I think it's just they fucking shot themselves in the foot, creating that system to be so fucking complicated to begin with, and it just didn't work out because it's absolute mess now in the game. And now they're like, oh shit, now I have to scrap all of it and just like do it from scratch within the existing code of the game. I think that's where that time frame comes from.
And it's like, go in, sit down for a day, sit down for a week if your formulas are that complex. I know it's not a simple numeric value change.
Yeah, I don't think it's that simple.
More complicated, but like that's such a crucial piece of the game. Like,
well, yes, it's a crucial piece of the game. That's why they want to probably really revitalize it and like restructure it in a way where it will be meaningful and works this time around, hopefully, and not just sit around for a day and just throw another numbers around and just put that in. I'm kind of okay with that decision, I think. If at the end of it works out again, but no one can tell, right? Like unless we test it once it's out. But I think that's where they're coming from. They just want to go back to the drawing board and really work it out this time, and so that it makes sense and it works as intended. And you can't really do it on this scale in a week. It's just too big. Like, for example, when you work on website creation, like websites take longer than that to tweak things on the back end. Because sometimes within the coding, certain things, like you start adding or removing design decisions, and the code needs to be adjusted accordingly, and that takes time. That's what takes time. Not coming up with ideas and reforming the system verbally or on paper. That's whatever. That can be done in a day, maybe, if you have enough smart people that know what they're talking about and know what they're doing. On paper, you can go through it in a day. But technically, it takes a long time to implement.
Having your formulas for damage and resistance and damage reduction, all of that. And it's also kind of maybe a little bad, in my opinion, if it's so complicated that you can't even make a change to resistances for 4.5 months. Because what happens if we bring that out and then there's something else that really needs to be changed?
Yeah.
Oh, vulnerable damage is way overtuned. We need to adjust that. Is that something that will also take 4.5 months?
Yeah, that's it. It's just as I said, like they might have shot themselves in the foot creating the actual system that can be that's not versatile, that you can't change on the go. I think it's a backhand issue. They just made a build of the game and that's how it works. So now to make any sort of technical changes to it, they probably have to rewrite the code.
Like that to me is really confusing, and it feels like, yo, you should be able to adjust bad formula issues faster. I don't think this is overreacting. I'm sorry. I think you should be able, if there is stuff that is, oh, resistances are pretty much worthless, or vulnerable damage is way too important, or whatever stuff, that it shouldn't take an entire season and a half to fix. If you think that's overreacting, cool. That's fine. I don't care. You can think that. I won't think that. That's totally fine. I really believe that damage and whatever formulas there should be closer, where you can make those balances faster. Because also that is how you create a season and balance a new season. And oh, we're going to bring in these new items and maybe some new affixes and some more changes.
Yeah,
and
it needs to be versatile.
Those things can create power creep, can create issues, nerfing and buffing build.
Which is weird, because a company like Blizzard, especially Diablo franchise, they have almost 30 years of experience in this field, in balancing and resistance creation and damage reduction stats and affixes and blah 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 blah. These systems. I wonder why the current game build is such that they must have known in the beginning, right? We will have to be making adjustments throughout the life of the game. Like, we're gonna be doing balances and patches and changes. Again, that's I'm focusing on that one understanding of me, kind of understanding how the games are maybe made from the technical point. Maybe that's not the reason. Maybe that's not a technical issue. Maybe they just, for whatever reason, want to spend more time recreating the system. But if it is a technical issue, it's weird that they've built it that way, knowing that it's a live support game and will need constant updates and patches and all that. I don't know.
Like, that stuff needs to all be in a flexible enough state that you can go look at that and make a change, and fix something within a week or whatever it is. So I'm personally very disappointed that resistances are going to take 4.5 months before we potentially get a fix to them, because it really feels like, yo, this stuff needs to be fixed much faster. Again, resistances are pretty garbage right now, and it also, in my opinion, is highly affecting like high tier dungeons and stuff. As a sorceress, no matter how much DR I'm stacking, anything like that, if I'm in a level 70 plus dungeon, I get one shot by everything. If I could improve my resistances to help that damage reduction, that would be fantastic. But I can't. I just get one shot by everything.
Yeah, that's like one of the most fun aspects of playing Path of Exile, because you're constantly chasing that optimization of your gear, of your character. And it's not like, oh, whatever, I have this gear on, it's just like a fucking green up arrow, I have more armor on this piece, stick it in. No, you actually have to balance and cap your resistances right after you finish your campaign. You can't really start mapping if your resistances are below a certain threshold, like if your resistances are below 70 at white maps, you will be getting one shot even at that level. And trying to constantly upgrade your gear as you progress your character and you level up, but adjusting the affixes so that you have to so you still able to cap all your resistances and get the damage in and get all your other affixes that you need for your build. That's where the juice is, man. That's where the interest is. And here in Diablo 4 so far anyway, you don't have that because none of it matters really. It's just like, oh, get more life, get more armor, do more damage. And you have all these fucking damage buckets. Which is also weird. But that's whatever. I can live with that maybe because what it is what it is. But yeah, resistance is it's like a mini game within a game, or at least it should be. Just like in Path of Exile, like you immediately notice the difference when you drop below the 75% threshold. Immediately. Like you just get one tapped if you're lacking your resistance in one of the elements. It's just how the game is. And that's what captivates you. Right? That's the interest, because it's up to you as a player. You have all the tools in the game, basically, within PoE to fix that issue. You earn currency, you play through the game, or you do the content that you can handle, you gain currency out of that content, and then you either craft the gear that you need, or you buy the gear that you need. And you spend a lot of time on trade website or just crafting so that everything's balanced out. So all your resistances are capped, so you have enough, armor, you have enough evasion, you have a lot of life, you do damage, and you have all those tools, and you can get it. And that's why in PoE the crafting is so good. You can literally min-max every single affix on an item. You can remove them, you can add them, you can upgrade them, you can replace them with other affixes. You can add more affixes to there are ways to kind of to corrupt them, to add more implicits to the item that also gives you more bonuses. And here you can only really remove one affix on an item one time. I mean, not one time, but like one affix. And after that, you can only reroll that one affix. You can no longer do anything with other affixes. You can only reroll that one affix, and then after a while as well, after rerolling it several times, the price for that reroll, it just fucking skyrockets. So it's no longer even worth it. Rerolling, like you can, by rerolling I mean not the values of that affix, but actual affix. You can change it to something else. You can keep changing it, but only that one affix. You can't do that to like one or two or three affixes on an item. You can only do it on one, and it's kind of limiting. But again, because this system doesn't cater to that right now, like it. Most of the time so far, it just doesn't matter. All you want are certain, like 1 or 2 or 3 stats that you go for on all the items, and then whatever resistances you have, whatever life you have on it, whatever fucking, I don't know, other shit that they have, like fucking damage to far or close enemies or whatever it is. It doesn't really matter.
And so if fixing resistances requires you to rebalance the whole game, I mean, that's just That's just kind of wild. I don't know. I think that is I don't even have a word for it. Just
Say it, llama.
to me.
It's fucked up.
That's totally fine.
They done fucked up.
Oh, it's not a big deal, and it's great, and I don't mind. Totally perfect. Totally fine. Moving on. The next thing they talked about was disconnects. They said if you're disconnected, we're looking at building in a way where it'll automatically consume a scroll of escape and teleport you to safety. This is something they're looking to hopefully bring in.
Yeah, so for all the fucking hardcore stands. God damn, that one Quinn 69 death from DC. Holy shit. Like right now, you're shooting yourself in the, not even in the foot, in the fucking mouth with a shotgun if you're playing hardcore. Because you know, like, it's not gonna, if that happens, when that happens. And motherfuckers are losing their characters on level 100 to DC. It's wild, right?
To help with some of the disconnect deaths that people have had. This still doesn't fix all of the bug deaths and stuff. This will bring back disconnect scumming that people love to do. But I think, you know what? That is a good thing to add in. So I think at the very least, it's a small benefit that may save a couple of characters, which is nice. So I thought we were getting on back on track here. But then they dove into level scaling. And the discussion went like this. I tweeted it, so let me go find my tweeter. The discussion went like this. Let me go find my twatter. A lot of people have complained about never feeling like they gained power while they leveled up. And then that was Adam saying the start. And then it went to the devs and they said
exactly what I said in the beginning.
Items have a required level on them. And sometimes people look at that and then they think that I found a level 18 item, but I'm level 25. And what people need to do instead is they need to look at item power. Because that is what does show the power of the item as you level.
Jesus Christ.
And sometimes item caches are too high of a level compared to their character. All right, moving on. And that's where I threw my hands up in the air. Because they didn't talk about level scaling at all.
What the fuck, man?
What?
Oh yeah, guys. Yeah, we totally didn't know. We've spent over 100 hours at this point in the game, and we totally didn't know about the whole item power thing of items. What even is that? All we do is looking at fucking item levels. Come on, guys. Just item levels, right? People made hundreds of hours of content on Diablo, and they made building websites in 2 weeks just based on item levels, not even item powers. Skill tree? Fuck it. Don't need any skill. Just fucking item levels. Hey, come on, man. Who do you think we are? What?
And you can say you love level scaling. That's great.
And I love that because that answer is like as if he answered, as if he's talking to like some random casual soccer mom who played the game for 15 minutes and then gave him that review. These motherfuckers are professional ARPG players that already beat the game and got to level 100 that are talking about it. They're talking about fucking level scaling. What the fuck are you talking about? Item level, item power, bullshit. Come on.
I don't even care if you love it or not. All I know is a lot of people not just myself. A lot of people have complained about the level scaling in the game, the issues with it in the game, how there's not really this great feeling of going through and you level up and all of a sudden you're weaker because you didn't get new gear. You're only powering up really when you get new gear or if you hit that big Paragon node. Other than that, you are getting weaker because all the monsters instantly scale with your level around you, right? This is something that, again, a lot of people have disliked. Y'all literally wouldn't be complaining if they didn't show the level numbers? No, it would be obvious. What are you talking about? Everybody would still complain. The point is, you literally get weaker as you level up until you find that piece of gear. And then, oh, I put the gear on, now I'm strong again. Now I suck again because I leveled 3 times. This is a massive system and thing they've built into the game. And they didn't even like double down on it and be like, this is why we still find that it's good. Or this is, you know, they just didn't even talk about it.
That's crazy. That is insane.
Confusing.
That feels like so out of time. Like they've been on point so far on most things, and they're like, you know, reacting to the community every time something important is being brought up, but not addressing this issue at all, which is the biggest issue in the game right now, especially after level 50. It's the worst feeling in the game right now. I mean, the game is great. It feels good to play and do things, and there's a lot of things to do. But once you really like get into the groove of grinding and leveling up, it's a big issue, and you feel it. You feel like which is why it feels like it's a grindy game right now, because you're not feeling that progress of the character. You're not feeling. They kept talking about the entire time before the release, we want this power fantasy from players, and not from players, but we want players to feel that fantasy of whatever the class they're playing, that power of the mage or a sorcerer, or the power of the rogue or a necromancer. We want those fantasy experiences, and we want them to feel that. And you don't. You feel as powerful as you were at level 10 when you are at level 70 or 60. Like in PoE, when I get my character to level 80 and I get somewhat acceptable gear, maybe I spend by that point I spend like maybe 2 to 3 divines worth of gear on my character. If I go back to Blood Aqueducts in Act 8 or Act 9, I will zoom through that shit. And that's what makes it fun. Or I can go back to farming white maps or yellow maps. And that'll be super fast, super quick, and I'll feel good. It'll feel good. It'll be fun. I'll feel powerful. I'll be doing it really quickly, and if I want to farm like that, it's gonna be a fun time. Because I got my character to a point where certain content is just a piece of cake. And I can just start farming it like that. But here you can't do that, because everything scales with you until level 95. And getting to level 95, fuck, I don't know how long it would take me to get to level 95. I'm still level 59 at the moment. And I've been playing for, what? More, like 3 weeks now. I don't know. It's a huge issue. Like, I would love, and I'm not saying like make the game easy. I'm saying let fucking level 50 mobs stay at level 50. And let level 75 mobs stay at level 75. I really want to get to level 100, right? I will get my character regardless to level 100 because I want to beat Uber Lilith. I want to get that boss, right? But getting there is such a pain in the ass. It's crazy.
And it makes your character level a cosmetic. Your character level like no longer matters in the game and is actually detrimental because you will get worse the higher it gets. All that matters is your gear's power, and then if you hit an important Paragon node. Which, you know, you've got many steps in between that. So, level scaling, still a big problem in the game, in my opinion. Again, you can have an opinion that it's not. But we just have no clue what they think, if they're going to change it, if there's thoughts on it. I don't know. They just stopped talking about it. The next thing they talked about was social features. They talked about social features will get better. I'm pretty sure that's all they said. I don't think they said there's going to be a group finder or anything. They talked a little bit about like looking for group and stuff existing in other games.
I just don't think that's a priority problem right now.
They said not anytime soon, but social features will get better.
Most people probably
that I got
don't care about all that. I think people care about group play right now because everyone says that it's better to farm in a group and it's faster to level in a group. That's all. That's why people care about it. But I do think they should incorporate trade into the game. That's one social feature that I think is really missing from the game right now. It needs a trade market or auction house, whatever you want to call it.
They mentioned kind of wanting to add it, but there wasn't anything beyond that that I heard. After that, they talked about teleport to a friend. This is something that a lot of people said, hey, like Diablo 3, I can right-click their portrait and I can teleport to them. And they said, quote, we aren't planning to change that, but we will keep an eye on it. So currently the layover is still required. You'll still have to teleport to town and then use the portal that is going to bring you to them. So there's still the thing now, but you have to do the layover. You have to do the go town first and then go there, as opposed to just go there. So no plan on changing that. Then there was a discussion about resource generation. They said, hey, a lot of people feel like resource gen is kind of bad. They said there will be a variety of buffs coming, and some to builds that have poor resource gen, but they don't want to invalidate resource generation. So they want you all the way through the game until the end game to still feel like you have to generate resource.
I don't know if I have a problem with that.
Like, again,
it does feel a little awkward and clunky when you run out of your energy or whatever, out of your resource, like after 3 attacks. That's a little clunky. I wish, like in terms of skills, especially for the rogues, because I haven't played other classes yet, I wish they made it so that imbuement gives you at least 3 attacks, not just 2 attacks, and that your resource doesn't run out after like 3 skill attacks, because it's a bit weird. Like, you have ways as a rogue to kind of really get it back fast. Also, you have uh, the sight thing that after a while gives you the unlimited resource, which is incredibly useful for a rogue. But still, like, if you're in the middle of a huge group of mobs, you use and you don't really have AoE, it's annoying. Like, that's why I don't know how people are playing rogue without twisting blades aspect build, because that's like your biggest AoE thing for the rogue. I mean, you do have traps, but I'm using traps as well. It's not as useful clearing. And you use twisting blades 3 times and you out of your resource, and you have to keep like spamming your auto attack to get that back, because if you're in the middle of a mob group, it's difficult, and especially if you evade on cooldown at the same time, it's difficult because for the rogue you can regen your resource by moving, right? There's a skill on a tree, a passive that lets you recover your energy by moving. But if you're kind of stuck within a group of mobs and they're blocking your pathways and you can't really jump out of it or get out of that because everything's on cooldown, you're not regenerating your resource other than auto attacking. And that's a little bit annoying. That's where the clunkiness comes from. But yes, most of the time you're able to either shadow step out of it or evade out of it and then keep moving around. That kind of regenerates your energy. But yeah, sometimes it's weird because you do like 1, 2, 3 attacks and boom, you're out. You have to do something to regenerate it. So I wish there were potions for that kind of shit.
This is where I go straight to my opinion. One, basic attacks suck. I've always hated the generator spender system.
Mm.
This game is no exception. When I was playing through the game and I'd have to sit there and just cast a generator, not even.
I just wish they didn't cost as much energy, your skill attacks. Like, let me do it more than 3 times, and then I'll generate. Like, I don't really have a big problem with the whole spending generating system. I feel that's all right, but it spends way quicker than it generates is the problem. And if they balance that, if they give me more, if they basically reduce the cost of skills, so that I don't run out of the fucking energy right away, it would be better.
Even hitting anything because I'm just like waiting in between, but just cast it to get mana to cast the skills I actually want to cast aren't fun. I would rather chug a mana potion over and over and over again than do the generator spender. And I don't think chugging mana potions is a great system either, but I think it's a lot better than having to use a basic attack.
I just wish that there was a choice to do that.
The late game, I'm a level 100 sorceress with a ton of like near perfect gear on, and I still have some resource generation issues, and that's with a character that has built a lot of resource generation into my character. It's like, man, I really feel like at some point I should be powerful enough to invalidate that and actually just be fine. And again, I kind of almost can, but something that I think actually feels the worst about it is that when I am around a large pack of monsters, I always have resource. When I am fighting a single monster, is when I will run out of resource. And it sucks that so much resource generation is tied towards AoE. That to me is the worst part about it. Why does it have to always be tied to AoE? Why can't single monster not like I be able to keep my resource there? This is the same in other systems as well, in other games and whatever, but I dislike there needing to be lots of density for me to keep my resource gen. But as soon as I get to a boss or PvP with a single player or whatever it is, now the resource generation goes down and it's garbage.
Again, I feel like just listening to this, I feel like Rogue is the only character that kind of has those regenerative opportunities or more opportunities than other classes. I don't feel like I've had problems with resource during boss fights. And I think the biggest thing for it is the whole, what is it, sightless eye? What the fuck is that called? The class skill. Anyway, because yeah, it gives you unlimited resource for a while. And also you just regen while just moving around, which is also great, so you don't really have to rely on anything, on hitting anything or drinking anything or ending anything.
I think that's the bigger piece that I would hope they would fix overall. Moving on. Then they started talking about appearance options. They did a whole dive into I'm me and I can go get a haircut and it doesn't change who I am. So can my character go and change their hair after I've already made my character? They said this could maybe come into the game, but that would be later down the road. They're more focused on adding in more hairstyles rather than allowing somebody to go and change their hairstyle.
Oh, okay.
After that, they talked about quality of life. Somebody asked a question about searching, filtering, all of that. They said the game will improve over time and these sorts of quality of life features will appear over time. So nothing concrete there. Nothing.
Wait, what did you say?
They said the game will improve over time and these sorts of searching, filtering, all of that.
Oh, filtering.
They said the game will improve over time and these sorts of quality of life features will appear over time.
I mean, good.
So nothing concrete there. Nothing really in the way of that, which is sad because there's so many quality of life features that really should be in the game and are big wins for them to have in the game, whether that is better stash with better tabs, whether that is search, a loot filter, a search function for your stash, all sorts of pieces. There's so many quality of life features that need to be added in the game, so it was kind of disappointing for them to just say these will just be things that will appear over time. Which to me isn't like, yeah, we're putting a lot of focus on all of this. And then they went into a discussion about re-clarifying or just clarifying what actually is occurring for Renown and what's carrying over. And I'm just gonna show it.
Pad, then you're next to a portal that
are you guys planning to buff any kind of resource generation, be it from passive?
Oh, that we're at resource gen.
So
page blog.
And have a different hairstyle. I don't have to roll a new me.
Here's the hairstyle
so I understand.
I will tell you, like,
right, but I'm just saying, because I'm
charges, max obols, and purification, evaluating them all as they kind of come in. I'm gonna take one last question, which is,
and who's it from?
Who's it from? And this one I think is just a clarification from people. This is from Nexian. says, can you just re-clear something you said earlier so we can keep all skill points, potion charges, max opals, and paragon points from renown for seasons?
Right. That's an important thing to clarify. So, the renown, so things like paragon points at the end of the renown bar, you will start with some renown. You're not going to get those paragon points that require finishing the renown bar until you fill the renown bar.
Okay, well, so that's my fault because I misunderstood. So it wasn't that they didn't understand. I misexplained it. So currently, like in the Eternal Realm,
Right.
on one character I complete the full renown bar, so I get my opals and I get my paragon points. If I roll an alt, I have those. I have the skill points. I have this potion charge. I have the opals. I have the paragon points. Right now, being that are shared between my characters on my account.
Some elements of the paragon system are shared between characters. Things like the altars of Lilith also give you stat points.
Right, but I'm just saying that that's how it works today in the Eternal Realm in terms of going between one character to another. The renown unlocks on the bottom level are account-wide, yes?
In seasons, you will the things that are at the end of the renown bar, you will still have to acquire renown to get.
Right, that's why I was just trying to clarify what it is today for alts is different than what it will be in season reset. Right, so today with alts, I clear all on my account, I get it across all my characters. So you're saying when we do a season reset, and if you clear it all on a character, or like when you have a map that's revealed in the Eternal Realm, when I go into the season, the map will be clear.
Right.
I'll have the renown for that, but I won't have like potentially the max 80 opals and
Right.
Paragon automatically unlocked because I haven't discovered enough. I haven't gone and hit all those waypoints that would fill that.
Right. So you will have
Okay.
renown for revealing the map. You'll have the renown for collecting.
Still a problem.
To the extent that you have done that.
Right,
Yeah,
and that'll trigger the other things like potion and skill points. and
Yes.
stuff,
Yeah.
And Mr. Joey P, just being me saying like, yeah, you get the renown from the fog of war.
Sorry, who's
clear.
Joey P? Is that one of the community members?
Yeah, Joey P. but yeah.
Question from our own team is associate designer.
He mentions you get the renown from Fog Warfare and Altars of Discovery, which is what Joe had just mentioned, but then enough to get you through the first 2 tiers of renown in each zone. So
that was my fault. I thought it worked the way it works in the Eternal. Now it doesn't. It's basically we're just preloading you a bunch of renown that will then unlock the stuff for you. I get it. Yeah.
Got a pocket Joey P over there.
I know,
Pocket Joey P.
Pocket Joey P. Well, we...
What? I'm so confused.
It's a bit confusing, yes, but also not.
So, again, from my understanding, the way it works now for alts is that you do get everything, but I thought people were saying their alts didn't have like the map explored and all of that, and just the Altar of Lilith stats and obols. So I guess the pieces from the renown are coming through, but you're not getting the map and such.
Yeah, I think the map
altars
is
have altars. I
not
thought you did get the stats
open
from the altars,
right now.
though.
On your alts.
And so in the future, you get the map exploration and the statues renown.
Right.
I think you get the statues stats, but the waypoints, again, you don't get, except for the main ones are grayed out and you have to collect them. Or do you get the main city waypoints and you have to just collect the secondary waypoints?
No, so I think from what I understood, from all that jibber jabber, in the new seasons, once you've opened everything up on one character on your alts, the map will be open. You will have your stats from all the Lilith altars that you've discovered on the first character, but you'll have to touch them again to get the renown. and you will still have to do all the renown gain to get the rewards from renown. So you'll still have to do the, you know, side quests and probably waypoints, as Llama just said, to build that renown to get the rewards. Basically, you're not gonna have all your 5 levels of renown and all the rewards available to you right away as you start a new character.
You get the stats, but can rediscover the altars for more renown. No, I thought they preloaded
Yes.
the renown onto it. I don't know. And honestly, I'm not sure they fully know right now either.
I mean, I won't be surprised.
And I think a lot of us think we fully know it, but also are slightly wrong in some ways. So, all of this to be said, overall, I really feel like not as much was addressed in this discussion as I was hoping. And a lot of the things they did discuss were given answers that were, well, maybe later down the road, as the game improves, things will just happen. Social features will get better. There will be quality of life. Not even talking about level scaling. You'll just have your layover with teleport. I don't know. There was just a lot of stuff that I felt like I was really hoping for a lot from this chat. I was really hoping that they would come into this chat and they'd be like, yo, we heard the community. And it doesn't have to be they heard my complaints, right? But they could come in more and be like, yo, we heard things. Y'all are saying that social features suck in this game. You can't find anybody. We're going to make that a priority. We can't give an exact date, but looking for group is going to be built. And we're going to find a way to get it in. We recognize that level scaling is tough, and here's how we're looking at addressing that.
Yes, that would be a better approach.
I don't know. I was hoping for more pieces with more answers to them.
Yeah, the fact that they've not really addressed level scaling at all is a bit concerning, but maybe they just weren't ready with the answers at this point. Maybe they'll bring it up at the next live stream or whatever. Again, it's sort of like, I don't want to fucking suck on Blizzard's boots because they're not really, you know, at the moment, not exactly a best company out there, but in terms of morality. But at the same time, as a community, we kind of have to be a little bit more understanding in terms of the development process and how many people are working on the project and how they have to. It's just hard to go through all the information that's being kind of put out there by content creators, and it's almost impossible to obviously see and watch everything and digest it and make decisions and create solutions for the problems in such a short amount of time. Like, remember, the game has been officially out for like just under 20 days. It hasn't been out that long, so you can't really expect them to be like, oh shit, yeah, okay, so this is the problem, this is the problem, this is the problem. All of you said that this sucks. Okay, here's a solution, and we're rolling it out tomorrow. It's not gonna work like that. And also, when a developer starts making changes only to appease to the community, and all the changes are based on what community wants them to change, the product is going to suffer at the end of the day. If they're just doing changes for the sake of doing changes because people want those changes and not because certain changes will make the game better in the long run. Because they, at the end of the day, they're the developers, they know better, and they have information and they know the predictions and what the end game, pardon the wordplay here, what the end game of the project looks like, and what the goal is, and what the final stage, and where, not final stage, but what the direction of the project is going to be, than any of us. Because at the moment, I bet you they're already working on season 2, season 3 maybe. They've already finished the kind of bare bones and what the base game is for now and for season 1. It's probably already done and it's ready to roll out whenever. Right now, they're trying to fix everything that we're talking about and whatever they want to add to the game, and in season 2, season 3, and so on. They've already probably on that kind of timeline. So all the feedback that we're giving them is not going to be done immediately. And we kind of have to be a little understanding of that. So Llama here, I know he's a good guy. He's passionate about it. He wants this to succeed. He wants Diablo 4 to be the game that, you know, people enjoy playing. But a lot of it, again, they need time to come up with strong solutions. So it's not just like a fucking band-aid over a certain thing. And then once it goes live, we as nerds just barrel through the changes, and we find more problems again and tell them all the ways how it doesn't work again. Of course, they want to be kind of prepared and sure that the solutions that they bring to the table are going to be solid and they're going to actually work. And that takes time. It's not an easy job. And again, I'm not sucking on their boots, but again, as a designer, and I've been in the design industry for 11 years, I know how I've been into a lot of these design marketing corporate meetings, and I know how these things work. It's not like these one fucking like Joe goes into the office, talks to a couple of fucking game designers, and they just made all the decisions. No, there's probably a corporate structure, and on the low level with the game devs, they have to discuss all that, how it should work, what can we change, what we can't change, how can we make it better, and then all those decisions that they come up with go to the top management, and the management might say, no, we don't want this to work like this, we actually want, and it sucks that it works like that, but that's the reality of how corporations work, right? Because you're gonna have all these cooks in the kitchen, and all of them will have their biased opinions about how the product should behave and how it should be designed. And on the top level, the highest level, of course, and always, the priority will be the sales. How can we sell the most? How can we bring the most people into this? How can we sell the most fucking microtransactions to these people or copies? So, and how do we not lose the retaining player base? And all that cascades down to the rest of the team, and then they kind of making all the decisions based on that outlook. Unfortunately, that's the case. Unfortunately, the product, in this case, a video game, the gameplay of said product will not be as important as the sales ever. Like the quality of life of us as consumers will not be their priority as much as how many microtransactions they're going to sell. It's just a reality. It's just that's how big corporations such as Blizzard operate. And it's a Bobby's world. We all know this. We see all this fucking controversy that's happening on World of Warcraft side right now with all the fucking tokens and store mounts and bullshit that they decided to do there. So it's, you know, all I'm hoping for is that they do consider all this feedback and they kind of understand the priority of certain points, and then eventually they'll bring the solutions to those, such as level scaling, unique drops, resistances. And so, I mean, I think those three are kind of like the top priority that needs to be looked at and fixed. And maybe the way the affixes work on items, the itemization. Mind you, I don't mind itemization so much, but it's just not as interesting. It's cool. It's enough to kind of you know, make my brain go a little, you know, to bring some juice into my brain to make me think about certain things, but it's not as gratifying as creating or finding or buying like a perfectly rolled piece of gear in PoE, for example. But it's interesting enough. Although I do think they can make certain affixes and how they work better. Like they straight up can remove certain things and just add things that are more general, more generic, but work in a better way. I think they can just simplify it and make it better. But yeah. So this is Mr. Llama, very nice guy. He's very smart. I like watching his content. I'll link his video right here. Go ahead and like. Yeah. Yeah.